I think all art should be made for no monetary gain, personally. What's your definition of free will? I don't want to ruin my reputation making your shitty dream come true. I might piss the client off because I build something the way I want to build it and the way I feel is right. And in the end, they look at it and they realize, holy shit, I was wrong. Thank you for not listening to me. Do you want, like, from the time I dropped out of school till now, or? Well, I definitely wouldn't be here if I didn't drop out of school. I don't know what the fuck I'd be doing. I guess I wanted to drop out of school sooner than I was able to, so I did an online schooling thing, didn't actually do anything with it, but it fulfilled the need of being enrolled in school. And as soon as I turned 16, I got my GED and started working full-time at that point for a place in Clifton, Fit Fabrication, which was a welding place. Before this, I had other small jobs, working with my dad quite a bit. Before that, I worked in a small engine shop, doing like repairs on lawnmowers. I worked at a pork store making sausages. That was one of my favorite jobs. But then once I got a job in metal fabrication, I knew this is what I wanted to do, but that wasn't the right shop for me, so I didn't stay there too long. I left there and tried to start my own shop back then with a friend of mine, Steve, who was really big into import cars. He would build all kinds of turbo Japanese cars for the drift scene. And he asked, he came to the shop in Clifton, that's how I met him, with something to weld. I forget what it was, a turbo manifold or exhaust manifold or something. And he said, if you ever get time, come swing by my shop, check it out. Maybe you can set up your own little spot there and get some more work. So I checked it out, liked what he was doing, and I started working with him. Just had a small shop. Actually, that was the welding table that I made while I was working there. And I was doing roll cages, custom intake manifolds, custom exhaust work, all stuff on cars. And the people in the car scene wasn't really my vibe either. So I left there, and that was when I started working for Vigilant Design, which is in Jersey City. And that was 14 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that. So working at that place, I really, really enjoyed what I was building. I loved the clients that we were working for. They were very good at what they did, designing furniture. And I loved the challenge of building something new every day. So I stayed there for 12 years. But, clashing with your boss and whatnot, and the desire to always want to do my own thing and be my own boss finally broke through. I had taken a couple weeks off of work to work on my boat, and that kind of pushed me to the edge and said, I love being off of work these past 3 weeks. I don't want to go back. So I said, sorry, Darren, I'm not coming back. And I already was doing this kind of stuff on the side here and there. And I realized, maybe it's not going to be as much as I was making, but at least I'm doing it for myself. I'll be happier, and it's been great ever since. And I'm making more than I was, so. This is my third year. This is my third year in business. What I love the most about it is the flexibility. I work by myself. I don't have employees, even though sometimes I wish I did. And that's probably one of the hardest parts too, is working by yourself. As much as I love working by myself, it's lonely here and there. I like having people to bullshit with occasionally, not having a coworker to throw things at or yell at when you fuck something up. I miss that a little bit. And, of course, having a helping hand every time you need something to, need somebody to help you lift something, move something, hold something in place. I got to be really creative to try to figure out how I can do this by myself. Just yesterday I installed this big solar rack that's like 14 foot by 6 foot. Doesn't weigh a whole lot, but it's really big and awkward. So I needed to figure out how I could do this by myself, and luckily it's on a sailboat. Sailboat has a big mast in the middle with ropes coming down from it called halyards. So I often, luckily, work on a lot of sailboats, and those halyards are my second employee, because I can take them in time to something, lift something with them, hold something in place with them, and it just becomes a second set of hands basically. So that's that's one of the nuances of working alone, but I think the benefit of having flexibility, not having employees to worry about, outweighs the, not having helping hand part. Other than that, I mean, it's stressful not knowing that I have a paycheck every week. There's sometimes I don't get paid for 2 months at a time if I'm in the middle of a job. And, I get a deposit at the beginning. I work on it for 2 months. Maybe I'm doing some small things here and there, but I might not see the rest of the payment for 2, 3, 4 months sometimes. So it's nice to have a full-time 40-hour-a-week job with a W-2 and not have to worry about that. You get your check and you're done. And again, working alone, I don't have a bookkeeper. I don't have anybody to help write invoices, estimates, keep up with keeping the books balanced, filing for taxes. I do all that myself as well, and I don't know any of that. I dropped out of school, so it's a learning experience the whole time. Yeah. This kind of work, the client might want something that I realize it's a terrible idea, might be what you want. Maybe you've seen it elsewhere, but I don't want to ruin my reputation making your shitty dream come true, so to speak. And 90% of the time I might piss the client off because I build something the way I want to build it and the way I feel is right. And in the end, they look at it and they realize, holy shit, I was wrong. Thank you for not listening to me. So that's when you need to just trust your instinct and not appease your client thinking the client is right. People say the customer is always right. The customer is not always right. They're hiring a professional to do something because you're a professional. Otherwise, you do what they want to do. They're not happy. They wasted a bunch of money. You're not happy, and you're screwed in the end. Might as well take the shot. Not that I didn't feel a sense of pride in my work before. Even the other shops that I worked at, I was working for myself, so to speak. I didn't have a manager over me. I had a boss that would hand me blueprints for a job, and I was responsible for everything from purchasing materials to making shop drawings to figure out how we're going to build this thing, working with the client to approve the drawings and everything. So I'm kind of still had the same sense of pride then, but it's different now. Yeah, it's different. What's your definition of free will? I mean, I've always thought that I'm my own person, regardless of who's trying to decipher how I need to live my life. There's other influences, of course, in, government, the country we live in, that make it easier or harder to live out your free will and do the things you want to do. But I try my best to not let any of that affect me. Just try to be a good person, and that's kind of the bare minimum. Anything past that, do whatever the hell you want to do, and don't let anybody tell you can't, kind of thing. That's all opinion too, and everybody's opinion is different. Of course. As far as design goes, there's people that love old 1920s Art Deco round shapes, and that completely contradicts modern architecture of straight lines, squares, cubes. And one might be absolutely horrendous to one person and not horrendous to the other person. Right. But exactly. What makes it horrendous to them? What makes somebody love that style and not another style? There is no standard for this is what looks good, or this is what works, or this is what I like. Yeah. And I think that's free will, is being free to have your own opinion, your own desire, your own trait. If it's something that you think is ugly, but other people absolutely love, it might be that you don't have the knowledge to know why they love it, and maybe you do love it if you spend some time to learn about it, why it was built that way, why it was designed that way, why it looks that way, why it smells that way, whatever. Maybe you do actually love it, you just don't know yet. Yeah. I think that's a huge thing too. People hate things that they don't even know. Their first reaction is, I don't like it. Yeah. But spend some time looking at it, spend some time learning about it, and maybe you do like it. Shit. I don't know if art exists. No? I think everything is art, really. It's all dependent on your opinion and what you like, You can look at this marker, and it could be art to somebody, but it's just a marker to somebody else. So again, it's art is what, to me, it's what pleases you visually through your senses, not just visually, but through your ears, your nose, your taste, anything. Food is art. Paintings is art. The way you build a fire can be art. Is anything not art? Depends on who you are. Depends on if you think it's art or not. That's all. I think all art should be made for no monetary gain, personally. I don't think art should be monetized like that. You know, it's a service you're doing for the world, for the community, out of the goodness of your heart. I think that's what art should be. And if you're doing it for monetary gain, then maybe it's art to other people, but to you, it's just a job. So if you turn this filming into a full-time job, is it still going to be a creative, artistic outlet, or is it just a job?